salary of 12 lakh 75,000, I need not pay any taxes. That's such an amazing thing.
I'm on the old tax regime.
Almost 6 to 7 crores now are tax free. So only 2 crore people will be, filing their taxes plus paying some taxes.
Income are stationary. We don't have any things coming in with us.
Hi, you're watching Budget for Bharat on NDTV Profit, and my name is Alex Matthew. If you're wondering what that is, well, you've missed some of the episodes, so you should go and check it out first and foremost. But let me tell you a little bit. This is an attempt by NDTV Profit to go out into the streets of India to find out what Indians want from 2026 budget. Now, you probably recognize, some of you, where I am. It's beautiful here in Mumbai. And this is the Worli Promenade, and you can see a few of these constructions. They're newer than the new tax regime that was changed in Budget 2025. And a lot has been said about what some people have called a landmark change to the income tax laws. But the question is, have people found it useful? Have they experienced changes in their financial lives? And we thought that we'd speak to real people to find out whether this is the case. It's not enough to talk to a salaried professional. We decided to speak to 3 different cohorts. Somebody who's just entered the workforce, somebody who's been there for a while, and a senior citizen. Let me introduce you to them. They're standing right here. The youngest individual here is Shanti Pandey. She's a professional, she's 24. We've got Rajesh Kalro, who's right here. We'll go to him in a bit. And the gentleman, spry and handsome looking right here, is Mr. Meenu Burman, who is a senior citizen but does not look it. With all 3 of them, and from the professional side, we've got Abhishek Mehta, who's a chartered accountant, as well as Kirtan Shah. You'll recognize him, as well as Abhishek, from shows that we've done over the course of last year. He's, of course, the Chief Executive Officer of Truvanta. Over the course of this conversation, we're going to try and get you a sense of how things have changed for all of the individuals involved. Let me start with the youngest first. Shanti, this budget has been aimed, or last year's budget, at getting people to spend more, consume more. And it's aimed at people below that 12 lakh mark.
True.
Right? So you have to tell us when you started working, whether you saw a big change last year.
Yeah, so I started working 2022. I do believe that taxes did help us a lot. The fact that till the salary of 12 lakh 75,000, I need not pay any taxes. That's such an amazing thing. So yeah, I do believe consumption will be something that we'll get to see. I get a lot of money to spend on all my expenses. So yeah, that's a good thing for me. I hope so that government gives us a lot of relief in the near future as well.
More than they've given already?
Yeah, I would love some more money for ourselves. Yeah.
So we'll talk about some of those aspects. So from the perspective, let's walk. So from the perspective of the young and the people who are just starting out, clearly there's a significant benefit. From the chartered accountant, I don't know how many people under 30 you cater to, Abhishek, but are you seeing a similar story play out?
So mostly yes, because I think most of the heavy lifting was done in the last year's budget. And if you look at the numbers, out of 9 crore with return filing, almost 6 to 7 crores now are tax free. So only 2 crore people will be, filing their taxes plus paying some taxes.
Okay. All right. Now, you heard her say 12.75 lakh, and clearly she knows her taxes because she's talked about the standard deduction available for you in that new tax regime as well. One of the factors, and you probably have an opinion on this, let me come across Kirtan, is that there are a few measures in the new tax regime that people may not be completely familiar with. One of them is that NPS allowance, right? You're able to get your salary, your employer to contribute on your behalf.
Correct.
Have a lot of people availed of that in your opinion?
I don't really think people are still going towards the NPS route as yet, because there is very little understanding in general that people have. But the new rule allows you to contribute as high as 14% of your basic plus DA from your employer, which is primarily tax-free for you. So let's say if your basic plus DA is 50,000 and your employer contributes up to 14% in NPS, that amount of money is actually the amount of money on which you pay absolutely no tax. And I think a lot of people don't know about it, and they should definitely look at this as a proposition, because the latest NPS rules also allows you to invest as much as 100% in equity, which was the biggest problem earlier, where long-term investors always thought that why would I invest in an NPS when I want to invest for long term, but yet I'm not allowed to put the entire money in equity. So I think that problem is also solved.
Okay. Now it may look like I'm really nervous, but that's not the case. It's actually the sun. It's really hot today. But having said that, I'm going to come to you next, because we've got the perspective of the young person, and she's saying that she has more money in her hands. She's spending on things that she didn't in 2022. Yes. We'll find out what that is in just a bit. But let's go to the person who's been there for a little while. And would it be safe to say that you're in the middle of your career, or are you going to have early retirement?
No, I'm still in the middle of the career.
Okay, all right. So are you on the new tax regime, or are you on the old tax regime?
I'm on the old tax regime.
That is very interesting. And gentlemen, we're going to talk about this in just a bit. But the tendency or the thinking for a lot of people, particularly in mainstream media, is that a lot of people have moved to the new tax regime. Why haven't you?
You have a lot of EMIs and so on and so forth. So the standard deductions that you would want to take and take advantage of, because you're supporting parents and taking advantage of this insurance. So it makes more sense for us when it comes to it. And as Abhishek said, out of the 9 crore, the balance 2 crores a year. So we understand, for us, it doesn't really make a difference. It's just that we have to plan it better now.
So we'll bring Abhishek in, and Kirtan as well, because I think there is a threshold that you need to bear in mind, right? So a lot of people will have had their chartered accountant friends make that calculation for them, but so that everybody understands, there is a break-even point that has been calculated for deductions. Can you tell us what that is?
So that's a long list, but majorly for every income level, there is a break-even point whether you should go with the new tax regime or old tax regime. But almost if you see FY25, 74% have opted for the new regime.
Right.
And I think for FY20, the current year, the people will be filing their returns, almost 90% will file under the new regime. So most of the people will now come to the new regime only, and this year's budget also is expected that they will make the old regime more detrimental.
More detrimental. So Rajesh is actually in a minority. Meenu, I'll come to you in a bit, but I want to drive home this point just a little bit more. There is a threshold. So suppose somebody in the 25 lakh or thereabouts threshold, what is the quantum of deductions that they would have to claim for there to be no difference between new tax regime and old tax regime?
So I had done some calculation. I'll give you 3 slabs where largely the tax filers are. So if your income is close to 15 lakhs, you will need a close to 6 lakh rupees of deduction or exemption for you to break even, which means that if you have 6 lakhs and above, then you probably might take the old regime, otherwise you stick to the new regime. That number for 20 lakhs salary is roughly 7.5 lakhs. So if you have 7.5 lakhs worth of deductions and exemptions or more, you stick to the old or you stick the new one. And somebody who's got 24 lakh 75,000 or 25 lakh roundabout will need roughly 8.5 lakhs of deduction exemptions for them to decide whether they want to be in the old or the new.
Yeah, that's the break-even point. Okay, so this, of course, there are people that will claim that kind of deduction. Meenu, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, but I'm sure I'm going to get the most insightful answers when I speak to you. A lot of people have been clamoring for benefits for senior citizens, right? There's an urgent need, particularly because things have gotten expensive. And it's, in a lot of cases, people of your age group, and I've seen this with my parents as well, Meenu, they may not necessarily have invested in equity early on in their lives. You may be different, but then as a result of which, they're dealing with inflation in a very different manner. First of all, over the course of the last year, have you experienced any changes in the way that you manage your money?
No, not that, what do you call, anything big about it. Well, with the GST down and all that, it helps for the old, because our income are, stationary. We don't have any things coming in with us. So this helps us a bit. Well, the GST is down, and they should actually, do some more
give you some more benefits,
Benefits,
for
yes.
senior citizens?
Seniors, like
So-
insurance, hospitalization. Those are the main things with the senior citizens. Most of the senior citizens go out, they go to visit the hospitals. There should be some point for the senior citizens, some benefits there.
Okay, so why don't we talk about this? Because currently you have 80D, if I'm not mistaken, in the old tax regime that allows you to have medical insurance premia that are deducted not just for you as an individual but also for your parents. What do those thresholds stand at right now?
So the ATD stands at roughly about 25,000 for individuals, and for senior citizens it goes up to 50,000 rupees. But I think more or less they want GST rates on the instruments and everything. See, only if you reduce the GST on the output, that doesn't get the cost down. You have to get the input GST rates also down. So the machinery, all the equipments which the doctors use, that GST rates also has to be rationalized so that the medical cost comes down in India.
Okay, so that's an interesting perspective. Of course, we're talking about things necessarily that are not in the ambit of the finance bill. But in terms of the point that was being raised by Meenu, and the need maybe to provide a little bit of benefit on the health side for senior citizens, it is getting costly at this moment, right? And we've spoken over the last year as well, Kirtan, about medical insurance getting very costly for people above a certain age. Is there a way out here? Because if you look globally, a lot of the more advanced economies provide healthcare for their people, and particularly for their senior citizens.
I think I'll give this in three parts. The first thing is, while we spoke about the input credit, Abhishek did, and that's absolutely correct. But we've actually seen medical premiums or insurance premiums actually go down for our clients, because it would have not gone down by the full margin, but it has significantly gone down. The entire pass on could not happen because of the points that Abhishek did make. So that, I would think, is a great start to start with. Second, while we talk about senior citizens in general, there are a lot of government schemes at the central and at the state level that I think, unfortunately, a lot of us, not just the senior citizens, but the younger audience also does not know about. There are a lot of schemes where up to 5 lakh rupees of your medical bills are actually paid by the state government, right? So I think a lot of knowledge and information around what those schemes are very important.
Yeah.
But very importantly, while I know all of us here would love to have social service or social security once we are seniors, but what we also have to understand is that our economy is very different from the global
Sure.
economy. While we are very upset that taxes are very high in India, but what we don't know is that taxes globally are even higher than in India.
And we are the largest population in the world.
Absolutely. So if a global economy is charging you 40-45% taxes while you make money, that is what provides for social security when you
Sure.
retire. So if our taxes are lower and 90% of people don't pay taxes for the reasons all of us know of, I think this is a tall task for the government to really be able to implement in the real world.
Okay. I want to come back to experience over the last 1 year. And you said that you're spending more. Come, let's walk. But you said that you're spending more on things that you couldn't spend on earlier. Maybe. What about investments? And are you able to invest more? Or are you not? Because I know that you're in the field,
Yes.
right?
I am into investments when I started my graduation. Okay, so the fact that now I'm able to invest more as well, that's the best part. I do always believe that one should invest safe, but at the very same time it should has a balance. I am not intending to save the entire 100% of my income, but 50% is something I believe I'll save, and the rest 50% I would like to spend on various things that I do love, something like concerts, shopping, and some good spa. I don't know, maybe.
Okay, well, so she's got her plans lined up, and so therefore you were asking for more from the government. What
In
would
the
that
near
be?
future, I'm not asking like within the span of 2-3 years, but I believe as the inflation goes up, 5-6 years down the line, some more tax rebate or exemptions would be really great.
Okay, all right. So not for this year. She's not asking. Sorry, she's not asking for too much, Madam Sitaraman. She wants it in 3 or 4 years, or maybe 5 years down the line.
5 years down
Is
the
that
line.
okay? So let me go across to Meenu. Meenu, she wants rebates only in 5 years' time. You want it now, no?
Yeah, I want it now because I don't have 5
Hey,
years.
that's not true. We're going to be speaking in 10 years' time, I'm sure.
No.
But then what exactly are you looking for? You mentioned medical insurance, you mentioned
Then,
medical.
that on equity, TDS cuts and all that.
Yeah.
They should either systemize it or what do you call, make the slabs this, or completely remove it out.
So you're talking about equity, capital gains tax. So okay, that's an interesting point, right? So either remove, and we got this somewhere else as well, Meenu. Very interestingly, right? We've got a suggestion to either remove capital gains tax on equity, or remove the STT, which is the securities transaction tax. Because for those people that are unfamiliar, this was actually introduced by Chidambaram government many years back, where capital gains tax was removed, and in lieu of that, an STT was brought in. But interestingly, I want your perspective on this. The way that transactions have gone this year, uh, I'm thinking that the government is not going to collect the amount that it intended to in STT. So, is there a likelihood, in your opinion, of this going away?
Look, in the real world, you can either be real or you can expect. I think I'm going to be a little real. I don't think they're going to go back on the tax increment on the capital gains that they've done.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I think a more informed decision needs to be made when you are taxing FIIs, right? Because FIIs tax was also normalized like individuals and got up to 12.5% in the long-term category. That needs to be rationalized, because if you look at economies like the US, UK, Singapore, UAE in general, they don't tax FIIs.
Okay.
And the original thought that the domestic money will keep buying markets has not really worked out well for us in 2025 with the large FII redemptions that we saw. And with tariffs around, I think the only way that we will really be able to attract foreigners to come back and start investing with us is rationalizing it or making it more meaningful there for them to invest here.
Sure.
Of course, the argument can be that this is in place since 2018,
Yeah.
but of course, some rationalization there will help.
Okay. Rajesh, I want to come to you. And you've mentioned that you're on the old tax regime. What would need to change, in your opinion, for you to move towards this new tax regime? Because as Abhishek pointed out, the direction seems to be that we're moving away, or we're weaning people away from the old tax regime, from this deductions experience that people have had for so long.
See, what's happening is, if after a particular point in time, when you cross a particular, say, income level, you are expecting the citizens to actually become heavily spend on consumption expenses, so on and so forth. But you don't see it on the expense side, what actually is happening. We have our own EMIs, we have international school fees, we have international holidays also. But there are some more things that are there. And end of the day, the savings and all would actually get impacted. If all these additional benefits which come to us, that money, like she said, she's also investing the additional funds. She's also investing and putting it back into the economy. That's what actually is required. So the government also needs to understand that the incremental benefit that they will get by actually encouraging this part will be much more than what actually is going to happen right now with this heavier tax that they're charging us.
Okay, so I mean, the intention was in 2025 to bolster consumption, and there was a revenue impact that the government did speak about. Of course, we'll get clarity on that, Rajesh, when the budget is presented. But I do want to talk about compliance, and I think this is where Abhishek will come into the picture. Earlier this year, not this year, but I'm talking about the financial year, we had a conversation about the tax department being more active than it has been in past years because of the kind of data that it's collecting. The sense that we've gotten, and this is for all of y'all and for everybody tuning in at home, is that while last year the attempt was to bolster consumption, this year it's going to be moving towards ease of doing business. It is going to be on ease of compliance. There are going to be several measures that are expected by the government to make things easier for individuals to comply with the tax laws. Are there niggles that you have seen as a practitioner helping people file their taxes, etc., and be compliant that you think that the government should be focusing on?
So I think the wave on the micro level is, on the macro level is definitely ease of compliance, but on the micro level, if you'll see, their compliance has increased because of the AI and everything. People have really got a lot of notices,
Right.
and so even though the wave is that we want to decrease the compliance, but GST, TDS, and income tax, TCS, TDS, slowly and steadily the amount of compliances are actually increasing for the individual.
So interesting. I want to ask some of you whether you have an opinion on compliance. Was it difficult for you to file your tax? I mean, you're probably getting it done by somebody, but compared with past years, is it easier for you to put everything together, that annual income statement, etc.?
Correct. So I found that digitization was good because a lot of the information was kind of pre-filled, and also a lot of information which we were sometimes missing out was coming through onto the system. But as he said, I am also one of the recipients of the notices on that front.
Okay.
And that actually kind of puts us in two minds as to what to do, how to go about it for next year, how to optimize the tax and all. So those are the things also which we are experiencing as such.
You're a professional or an employee?
I'm an employee, but you will have political donations, you will have other donations, you will have some other donation that you will keep happening for social causes, but you're receiving notices. Now that's a system generated, but the problem is it is still lying, and then you have to basically then plan out if I should be doing social work, should not be doing social support, so on and so forth.
Okay, so it's an important point that is being raised. From your perspective in terms of compliance, right? It's supposed to be pretty easy for senior citizens in particular. Maybe Abhishek can weigh in on that. But you've been filing taxes longer than all of us have.
Yeah.
Longer than I've been alive. So therefore, you can give us some perspective. If things were to be made a little easier for you, what are the problems that you're facing in terms of compliance that need to be solved?
Actually, you see, I give it to my chartered accountant, and I don't go into the nitty.
You don't worry about it. Whatever they say.
Whatever they say, it's best of it. It's not useless to break our head on it because we don't understand anything about it. So I give it to my child. Sometimes he tells us, it goes over our head too.
You want to weigh in on this point in terms of compliance? I don't know if your clients have experienced this or had a conversation with you at all about it, particularly from the perspective of managing of transactions in equity markets. A lot of people have started using, Kirtan, this last window before March to do what is called pruning in their portfolio, to book out capital losses. People are becoming more aware of that.
No, 100%. And I think that's a smart thing to do. Why do you want to pay tax when you have the opportunity to book capital gains and carry forward it to the next year? You probably might want to do it. But
But I do want to ask you specifically about TCS, right? Because one of the conversations, not last budget, the budget before that, was this tax collected at source for foreign transactions that are made. The gift city has opened up a lot in terms of transactions that you can make to invest abroad. That has been a theme because of the way that international markets have been. Do you think that needs to be looked at a little bit, that threshold of 10 lakh, certain other thresholds that exist right now?
Look, we have to look at it from the perspective that the government is pretty interested in making sure that it does not end up hurting our forex reserves.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, whatever investments you are doing, it's ideally your dollar going out, which is the reserve currency that you want, right? If I remember correctly, last year also it was increased from 7 lakhs to 10 lakhs. And I think efforts are made to make sure that on the MF side, they hold back as many dollars as they can because they've stopped the limit and they're not allowing new investments to happen. But with, like you rightly said, with Gift City coming up, I think the idea is pretty simple to attract NRIs to invest in the Indian markets using the Gift City route so that we can bring in more and more dollars, and versus that open up a little bit a limit for the Indians to invest outside, but at the end of the day make sure that we are net positive in receiving dollars and giving out dollars.
That's an important point. So we're winding down to the end of this conversation, but what I'm going to do is I want to ask you to have one message if that was the case. And you probably thought about this. Maybe I can send one message across to FM Sitharaman on this platform on NDTV Profit. You want me to start with you or should I come back to you later? I'll come back. Okay, Abhishek, I'll come to you first.
So I think ease of compliance and the capital gains can be probably lowered down, or probably the increase in the standard deduction of that 1.25 lakh can be increased to about 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs. That would be one request.
5 lakhs of standard deduction?
Not that 1,25,000 on the capital gains which are exempt.
Okay.
That can be increased to 5 lakhs.
Okay. I misunderstood that. Kirtan?
Look, no, I'm not sure how realistic is this, but I think the biggest drawback that I see from the old to the new is the removal of 1,50,000 of ATC. I think that was a great incentive for people to invest. And unfortunately, what is happening is people are ending up spending that money rather than investing. So if at all that can be reintroduced, that'll be great from an investment perspective.
Okay, and ELSS might come back to the fore again. What about you?
I believe the fact that there are so many schemes that are actually out there to help people, but no one is aware. So more awareness on those things would be a great thing. We can use social media, so many ways to interact. But yeah, that would be my message to the
Okay, that's a good message. Rajesh?
So I believe there's what's with the increase in a lot of employees that are happening, especially from the metro cities, international companies hiring it. The CTCs are going up, especially in the metros. Maybe some kind of different tax kind of situations, because the cost of living, the kind of cost of flats, cost of this thing is quite different when it comes to a metro. So maybe consider some of those aspects and actually create some kind of a different bracket so that that advantage could also be taken, because we've been compared as a holistic part.
Sure.
But if you see, the India is actually quite different what happens in the big metros, what happens in small cities, what happens in different cities. So maybe that should be coming into play right now till the whole standardization happens. You can't just have a standard thing across such a big country.
That's actually a very interesting perspective. Somebody else has also given me that. Maybe the definition of affordable housing should change based on metro cities versus non. The last word, to you.
The TDS, what do you call it, should be graded, and it should be decrease on equities. And they have done on FDs too, but they should increase that too, FDs too, non-taxable too.
Okay. So what you're saying is that you want dividends to be exempt. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, because you receive a lot of your income through dividends?
Yeah, certainly right.
Okay, all right.
And FDs too.
And FDs too. All right. So clear messages from everybody here, different cohorts of people, and it's going all the way to North Block. And I hope that FM Sitaraman is listening. To everybody tuning in at home, let us know what you think. If you've got more suggestions, let us know. In the meanwhile, have an absolutely great day and stay tuned to NDTV Profit.